Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition.
Question 1. This is a type of ownership where an individual owns the airspace of his unit, but the buildings and common areas are owned jointly with the others in the development. A. Condominium. B. Planned unit development. C. Planned condominium development. D. Apartment conversion development. Answer. A. In a condominium, the individual owns the airspace of his/her unit, but the buildings and common areas are owned jointly with the others in the development. Question 2. The original principal balance is best defined as A. The total amount of principal owed on a mortgage before any payments are made. B. The total amount of principal verbally agreed to be paid on a mortgage before any payments are made. C. The total amount of principal owed on a mortgage before any payments are made but after earnest money has been transferred. D. None of these. Answer. A. The best definition for original principal balance from the given choices is the total amount of principal owed on a mortgage before any payments are made. Question 3. This is required on all loans having a loan-to-value of more than 80%. A. A trust guarantee. B. Mortgage insurance. C. Warranty insurance. D. Deed insurance. Answer. B. If a loan has a loan-to-value ratio of more than 80%, mortgage insurance is required. Question 4. A legal document pledging a property to the lender as security for payment of a debt is called A. A mortgage. B. Property insurance. C. Note of indebtedness. D. A deed. Answer. A. A mortgage is a legal document that offers real property to a lender for payment of a debt in real estate. Question 5. This reports the raw data pulled from two or more of the major credit repositories. A. A merged credit report. B. A multiple source credit report. C. A combined credit report. D. A mixed credit report. Answer. A. A credit report that pulls from two or more of the major credit reporting agencies is called a merged credit report. Question 6. The time during which the lender has guaranteed a certain rate is called A. The lock-in period. B. The opportunity window. C. The period sans expiration. D. The evaporation period. Answer. A. The lock-in period is the window of time in which the lender has guaranteed a certain rate. Question 7. Loan-to-value is best described as A. The percentage relationship between the amount of the loan and the appraised value or sales price. B. The relationship between the amount of the loan and the comparable net value. C. The numerical relationship between the amount of the loan and the lowest sales price in the last 6 months. D. The percentage relationship between the length of the loan and the appraised value or sales price. Answer. A. The percentage relationship between the amount of the loan and the appraised value or sales price is called loan-to-value. Question 8. Loan origination is best described as A. A process by the lender in getting new loans. B. A process in which the loan amount is released by the lending institution. C. The originating source of the loan. D. None of these. Answer. A. Lenders typically call the process of getting new loans as loan origination. Question 9. This type of insurance protects against claims against a property owner for negligence or bodily injury or property damage to another party. A. Property insurance. B. Mortgage insurance. C. Liability insurance. D. Life insurance. Answer C. Liability insurance protects against claims against a property owner for negligence or bodily injury or property damage to another party. Question 10. A nonconforming loan is also called A. A jumbo loan. B. A bulk loan. C. A loan in excess. D. A grant loan. Answer A. A jumbo loan is also known as a nonconforming loan.
Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition. Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition.
Question 1. When there is more than one borrower on a note, the obligation to pay the balance is the responsibility A. Jointly. B. Severally. C. Jointly and severally. D. Individually. Answer C. All of the borrowers on a note are obligated and responsible to pay the loan amount both jointly and severally. Severally means individually. Question 2. If a potential buyer sees a home that he or she likes but decides not to buy it because it seems overpriced, this would likely be based on the principle of A. Price. B. Conformity. C. Substitution. D. Habendum. Answer C. The principle of substitution is the idea that there is an equally desirable property at a much lower price. In this case, the buyer is exemplifying this principle. Question 3. What happens when an agent/broker misrepresents the principle? A. Rescission or civil court action. B. Criminal penalties. C. Apologies but no legal action. D. None of these. Answer A. If an agent/broker misrepresents the principle in the sale, there should be a rescission or civil court action for damages. Question 4. If a buyer assumes an existing loan, the buyer also accepts what on the loan? A. Risk. B. Liability. C. Performance of contract. D. Insurance. Answer B. In this case, if a buyer assumes an existing loan, the buyer also accepts liability on that loan. Of the given choices, this is most correct. Question 5. The party that accepts the endorsed note from the original payee without knowledge of any defects is known as A. Endorsee. B. Endorser. C. Holder in due course. D. Truster. Answer C. The party that accepts the endorsed note from the original payee without knowledge of any defects is known as the holder in due course. Question 6. Most trust deeds contain several clauses of A. Indeterminacy. B. Acceleration. C. Habendum. D. Due process. Answer B. Acceleration means that if a buyer cannot make payments on a note, the lender has the right to declare the entire sum due and payable immediately. Most trust deeds contain several clauses related to acceleration. Question 7. The surface of the earth and the material beneath the surface of the earth is part of the A. Real property. B. Water rights. C. Section. D. Geolocation. Answer A. Parts of real property include the surface of the earth and the material beneath the surface of the earth. Question 8. Airways above a property are A. Public domain. B. Owned by the property owner. C. Owned by the owner up to 500 feet. D. Owned by the owner up to 1,000 feet. Answer. A. Airways above property are now considered to be public domain. Use is granted to an owner to a reasonable height. Question 9. If a buyer defaults on a loan and the lender declares the note to become due and payable immediately, this would best be described as A. An exculpatory clause. B. An habendum clause. C. An acceleration clause. D. An momentum clause. Answer. C. This is a classic example of an acceleration clause. Question 10. If demand remains constant while supply increases, which is most likely to happen in regards to prices? A. They will increase. B. They will remain the same. C. They will decrease. D. None of these? Answer. C. Typically, when demand remains constant but supply increases, competition will increase and competitors will lower prices to outbid one another.
Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition. Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition.
Question 1. An index used to determine interest rate changes for certain adjustable rate loans is called A. Treasury Index. B. Rate Index. C. Adjustable Index. D. Interest Index. Answer. The Treasury Index is an index used to determine interest rate changes for certain adjustable rate loans. Question 2. A written justification of the price paid for a property, primarily based on an analysis of comparable sales of similar homes nearby, is called A. A comp. B. An appraisal. C. A similar analysis. D. Neighborhood investigation. Answer. B. An appraisal is a written justification of the price paid for the property. Question 3. The property that will be pledged as collateral for a loan is known as A. Security. B. Pledge. C. Promise. D. Collateral. Answer. A. In this case, the security is the property that will be pledged as collateral for the loan. Question 4. The buying and selling of existing mortgages, usually as a pool, is called A. Primary market. B. Secondary market. C. Tertiary market. D. Market index. Answer. E. The secondary market is the buying and selling of existing mortgages. They are usually sold as a pool. Question 5. Ingress or egress means the right to A. Enter or leave designated premises. B. Buy or sell designated property. C. Exclude or include individuals from a designated property. D. None of these. Answer. A. Ingress or egress means the right to enter or leave a designated premises. Question 6. A tenant is excused from paying rent in the event of fire or casualty damage and the landlord receives uninterrupted income while the premises is unusable by means of A. Rent loss insurance. B. Hazard insurance. C. Rental insurance. D. Property insurance. Answer. A. Rent loss insurance covers a landlord for lost rent in the event of casualty damage while the premises is unusable. Also, the tenant is excused from rent for this period. Question 7. The noting in the registrar's office of the details of a properly executed legal document, such as deed, mortgage note, satisfaction of mortgage, or extension of mortgage, thereby making it a part of the public record, is called a recording. B. Notation. C. Delivery. D. Registration. Answer. A. Recording is when the details of the properly executed document are noted in the registrar's office, making it a matter of public record. Question 8. A purchase money transaction is A. The acquisition of property through the payment of money or its equivalent. B. The acquisition of property through the securing of sufficient loan amount. C. The acquisition of property through the promise of sufficient collateral. D. The acquisition of property through the payment of equal property. Answer. A. A purchase money transaction is the acquisition of property through the payment of money or its equivalent. Question 9. What does PITI stand for? A. Principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. B. Property, income, taxes, and insurance. C. Prime, income, tenement, and insurance. D. Principal, income, taxes, and insurance. Answer. A. PITI stands for principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. They are the four components of a monthly mortgage payment on impounded loans. Question 10. The four components of a monthly mortgage payment on impounded loans are A. Principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. B. Property, income, taxes, and insurance. C. Prime, income, tenement, and insurance. D. Principal, income, taxes, and insurance. Answer. A. PITI stands for principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. They are the four components of a monthly mortgage payment on impounded loans.
Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition. Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition.
Question 1. The following could be used by the buyer as earnest money deposit in purchasing real property. A. A promissory note secured by a deed of trust. B. A post-dated check. C. An unsecured promissory note. D. All of the above. Answer. D. This deposit can be in any form but must be disclosed to the seller prior to the seller accepting the offer. Question 2. All of the following are required of a real property security dealer, except A. A real estate broker's license. B. The issuance of a real property security dealer's statement to each person purchasing a real property security. C. File and maintain with the Commission a $5,000 bond. D. Post an additional $5,000 bond for each series transactions involving a real property security. Answer. C. Only one bond is required. An additional permit is required for each series of transactions. Question 3. Seller Abel, the owner of Blackacre, lists the property for sale with broker Baker. Abel fails to authorize the agent to accept the deposit on his behalf. Buyer Charlie makes an offer on Blackacre and gives broker Baker a check for $5,000 as a deposit. Under these circumstances, broker Baker A. Can accept the check if he immediately gives it to seller Abel. B. Can accept the deposit an agent for the buyer Charlie and place the monies in the broker's trust fund. C. Cannot accept the deposit because of the wording of the listing agreement. D. None of the above. Answer. B. The owner did not authorize the broker to accept a deposit on his behalf. The law of agency demands an agent to accept all offers unless specifically instructed by his principal not to do so. Under these circumstances, the broker should take the offer. However, he would accept the deposit at the agent of the offeror, and hold the deposit as the agent of the buyer. Question 4. Which of the following is real property? A. Stock in a mutual water company. B. Fruit on trees already sold by contract. C. Minerals or gas removed from the ground. D. Crops before harvest. Answer. Stock in a mutual water company is an appurtenance. Each share is considered to be appurtenant to a specific piece of real property and cannot be sold separately. An appurtenance is defined as real property. Question 5. Using a note as a deposit from a buyer in making an offer. A. The note must be cashed before opening escrow. B. A note cannot be used as a deposit for an offer. C. The note would be the same as cash. D. The agent should inform the seller that the deposit is in the form of a note before the seller accepts the offer. Answer. D. A licensee may accept a note from a buyer as a deposit, other in the form of a deposit given by builders. The licensee must then inform the seller that the deposit is a note before the seller accepts the offer. Question 6. Richard Rock, a new real estate salesperson, made strong efforts to obtain listings in an unintegrated community. He found success by insinuating to property owners that should minorities move into the area, the value of their homes would increase. Which of the following terms best describes the activities of salesperson Rock? A. Steering. B. Panic peddling. C. Blockbusting. D. Both 1 and 3. Answer. D. Such activity is described as both panic peddling and blockbusting. Question 7. Which of the following will be found in the Federal Fair Housing Law? A. A provision that real estate licensees should not discriminate in the sale of any real estate. B. A code of ethics which requires all real estate brokers to follow the Golden Rule. C. A provision which allows for mortgage subsidy insurance in government loans. D. A provision which allows all prospective buyers to be given the same opportunity to select available houses in their price range without restrictions because of race, color, religion, or national origin. Answer. D. The Federal Fair Housing Law applies to residential property and prohibits discrimination on the basis of color, race, religion, or national origin. Question 8. A real estate broker advertises that if a buyer buys from him or a seller lists with him, he will pay the party $50 from the fee or commission he receives from the transaction. The broker A. Can do this. B. Cannot do this as it is a violation of the Business and Professional Code number 10176. C. Can credit the buyer's escrow account with $50 but he could not compensate the seller. D. Can give a rebate of commission to the seller, but he cannot pay the $50 to the buyer. Answer. A. This constitutes a finder's fee which may be paid to unlicensed person as long as the fee remains a finder's fee. A finder's fee is payable when the person has no negotiations in the transaction whatsoever, he just tells you of the prospect. You need a real estate license if you act as an agent. There is no license required to act as a finder. A finder does not represent anyone, they merely tell a licensed agent about prospects. He does not enter into the negotiations. Question 9. The law which governs the distribution of property after a dissolution of marriage is contained in the A. Code of Civil Procedure. B. Civil Code. C. Business and Professions Code. D. Commissioner's Rules and Regulations. Answer. B. The law which governs the distribution of property after a dissolution of marriage is contained in the Civil Code. Question 10. The distinguishing characteristic of a real estate option when compared to a conventional contract of sale is its A. Lack of mutuality and obligation. B. Irrevocability. C. Mutuality of contract. D. Both 1 and 2. Answer. A. Only one party is bound by the contract in a real estate option. The optionee has the right to either purchase or not purchase.
Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition. Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition.
Question 1. Which of these instruments does not contain the interest rate, loan amount, term of the loan, and monthly payments? A. Mortgage. B. Deed. C. Lease. D. None of these. Answer. D. None of the listed instruments contain the interest rate, loan amount, term of the loan, or monthly payments. The type of instrument that does contain these is the note. Question 2. Anthony receives a tax bill that is related to cost per front foot and amount of benefit he receives. This type of tax bill would be called A. Eagle. B. Special assessment. C. Front foot assessment. D. None of these. Answer. B. Special assessments are generally repayment to the government for installation of curbs, gutters, and other enhancements. The cost of these is based on the amount of benefit that a particular property receives from the enhancements. Question 3. Retaining a property while at the same time using it as collateral to secure a loan is called A. Promissory. B. Hypothecation. C. Accretion. D. Collation. Answer. B. The act of using property to secure a loan while at the same time retaining the use and benefit of the property is called hypothecation. Question 4. In which clause does it allow for a buyer to be free of recourse in the event of foreclosure? A. Ad hominem clause. B. Dispersal clause. C. Exculpatory clause. D. Extradition clause. Answer. C. An exculpatory clause acts as a non-recourse loan. This means the lender can only look to the property for the satisfaction of the loan. The buyer is not personally responsible for the note. Question 5. Referral fees are legal to be paid if they are given to A. Licensed brokers. B. Licensed agents. C. Anyone. D. None of these. Answer. A. Referral fees are legal to be paid only to licensed brokers. Question 6. The secondary mortgage market consists of which major participants? A. Fannie Mae. B. Ginnie Mae. C. FHLMC. D. All of these. Answer. D. Fannie Mae, Ginnie Mae, and FHLMC are all major participants in the secondary mortgage market. Question 7. What does a general warranty deed contain? A. Covenants that warrant the new owners undisturbed and clear title. B. Covenants that include provisions of a quitclaim deed. C. Covenants regarding quiet enjoyment. D. None of these. Answer. A. Covenants that warrant the new owners undisturbed and clear title are contained in a general warranty deed. Question 8. A general agent has full authority to A. Bind the principal to all agreements. B. Act as attorney at law. C. Act in the bounds of power of attorney. D. Only bind principal to agreements with written consent from the principal. Answer. A. A general agent is a representative of a principal that has the full authority to bind the principal to all agreements. Question 9. The income approach to appraisal uses which kind of rate? A. Market. B. Capitalization. C. Index. D. Consumer. Answer. B. The capitalization rate, or cap rate, is used in the income approach to appraisal and is an analysis of how much investors are willing to spend in a certain neighborhood in return for a certain amount of income. Question 10. Which of these is an example of a general agent that has the authority to make binding decisions on behalf of the principal? A. An attorney at law. B. A real estate agent. C. A real estate broker. D. A property manager. Answer. D. A property manager is a good example of a general agent who has been empowered to make binding decisions on behalf of the principal.
Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition. Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition.
Question 1. Which restriction would be the most difficult to enforce by a developer of a subdivision? A. Size limitations. B. Limitations of dollar amount spent on improvements. C. Square footage of homes. D. Height of structures. Answer. B. Since the value of the dollar changes, the amount of improvements that a certain dollar amount could achieve would be constantly changing and would result in differing improvement results. Question 2. In order to obtain a loan, a person would likely go to A. A bank. B. Federal Housing Administration. C. Department of Veterans Affairs. D. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Answer. A. Banks are the actual lenders while the FHA and VA are institutions that guarantee all or a portion of a loan in order to procure more favorable terms. Question 3. A mortgage and trust deed are the same in which they allow A. The property to be sold in the event the borrower defaults. B. Prescriptive benefits. C. An estate in gross. D. None of these. Answer. A. A mortgage and trust deed are the same in the fact that if the borrower defaults on the loan, they allow for the sale of the property. Also known as a security interest. Question 4. What does a desist and refrain order do if issued by the real estate commissioner? A. Places restrictions on the sale of properties in a subdivision. B. Places a halt to sales and marketing of properties in a subdivision. C. Places a time constraint on the sales of properties in a subdivision. D. None of these. Answer. B. If there is an issue with a sales program of a subdivision, the real estate commissioner could obtain a desist and refrain order which would immediately halt the sales and marketing of the properties. Question 5. It is to the truster's advantage to include A. Subordination clause. B. Dependent clause. C. Independence clause. D. Reserve clause. Answer. A. It is to the truster's advantage to include a subordination clause in a trust deed because it allows the truster to obtain a later trust deed which will move into prior position, as regards to payment, in case of default. Question 6. In order to have a valid agency relationship, the commission agreement must be A. In writing. B. Filed with a broker. C. Within the acceptable bounds of commission rates. D. Notarized. Answer. A. The commission agreement must be in writing when forming a valid agency relationship. Question 7. The collection of mortgage payments from borrowers and related responsibilities of a loan servicer is known as A. Servicing. B. Lending. C. Collecting. D. Managing. Answer A. This type of work is known as servicing. These actions are responsibilities of a loan servicer. Question 8. The fund set aside for replacement of common property in a condominium, PUD or cooperative project is called A. Replacement Reserve Fund. B. Reserve HOA Fund. C. Interchange Fund. D. Cooperative Exchange Fund. Answer A. This type of fund is called a replacement reserve fund. It is set aside for replacement of common property in certain projects. Question 9. A commitment from a lender to the borrower or other mortgage originator guaranteeing a specific rate for a specific time at a specific cost is called A. Rate lock. B. Fixed rate. C. Lock terms. D. Fixed terms. Answer A. When a lender commits to the borrower or originator a specific rate for a specific time at a specific cost, this is called a rate lock. Question 10. A limit on the amount that payments can increase or decrease during any one adjustment period is called A. A rate lock. B. A period rate cap. C. A terms lock. D. Fixed rate. Answer B. A period rate cap is a limit on the amount that payments can increase or decrease during any one adjustment period.
Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition. Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition.
Question 1. Which of the following items is usually considered to be a cost of home ownership? A. Land depreciation. B. Improvement appreciation. C. Amenity value. D. Interest lost on the owner's equity. Answer D. The interest that is lost on owner's equity is usually identified as lock-in equity. This term applies to the fact that the owner cannot utilize the funds for other investment purposes. Question 2. Abel submitted an offer to purchase Blackacre. During the escrow period, a local credit reporting agency submitted detrimental information which Abel contested. Abel made repeated attempts to get the matter corrected and he was denied access to the information reported to the agency. Abel may A. Bring an action to recover punitive damages of no more than $5,000. B. Bring an action in a court of appropriate jurisdiction to recover actual damages. C. After a prescribed time, require the reporting agency to delete such information from the report. D. All of the above. Answer D. All choices are open to the principal in question. Question 3. Mr. O'Reilly paid an owner $10 for an option containing this clause, option to be for 60 days from June 1, 1967. Upon exercise of option, holder is to purchase within 30 days thereafter for all cash consideration. On July 10, Mr. O'Reilly sold and assigned his option for $1,000. On July 28, the new holder notified the owner that he would purchase on August 15. The owner claimed the option was void. The option was A. Void, because the holder sold it. B. Void, because date of purchase was not within the option period. C. Valid, even though Mr. O'Reilly sold it, but August 15 was too late for date of sale. D. Valid, and assignee could purchase on August 15. Answer D. Inasmuch as the terms of the option are for all cash consideration and no unsecured promissory note is involved, it must be sold or assigned, because the new holder exercised the option within the 60 days period, before July 30th, and purchased the property with 30 days of the exercise date, before August 30th, the option is valid. Question 4. Other than non-dischargeable debts of a bankrupt debtor are cut off, discharged. A. Publication of the notice of the petition in bankruptcy. B. Discharge in bankruptcy. C. The first meeting of creditors. D. Filing the petition in bankruptcy. Answer. B. Debts are cut off, discharged, the date bankruptcy court issues a discharge. Question 5. In which of the following ways may an agency relationship not be created? A. Verbal authority. B. Necessity or emergency. C. Post hoc ratification. D. Subordination. Answer. D. Subordination means lie, trickery or deceit, hence, it cannot be a valid way to create an agency. Question 6. A person and his property that is encumbered by a first deed of trust are in Chapter 7 bankruptcy. The court can sell the property and use the proceeds therefrom to pay debts owed to unsecured creditors. B. Holder of the first deed can foreclose. C. Debtor need not make payment on the promissory note secured by the first deed of trust. D. Debtor can sell the property. Answer. A Chapter 7 bankruptcy petition creates an automatic stay of a creditor's foreclosure against the debtor. Creditor must file a petition with the bankruptcy court seeking relief from the automatic stay and approval to institute foreclosure action. If the note is oversecured by collateral, the bankruptcy court trustee may sell the property, pay the secured creditor, and use the excess proceeds to pay unsecured creditors. If the debtor does not make payments on the note during the automatic stay, the bankruptcy trustee will pay interest to the secured creditor from the date of petition to the date of sale. Question 7. A loan that is secured on easy terms and with a low down payment usually results in A. Increased financing costs. B. Decreased financing costs. C. No difference in financing costs. D. Faster amortization. Answer. A. The lender is not going to be given easy terms or long-term financing without securing something in return. This usually results in increased financing costs. Question 8. Insofar as a residential neighborhood is concerned, which of the following would offer the least protection against blighting influences on future development? A. Natural or artificial barriers. B. Partially built-up neighborhood. C. New neighborhood in the path of directional city growth. D. All families with similar income. Answer. B. A partially built-up neighborhood would have a definite tendency for blighting, because it was not completed and there would be a potential for vandalism. Question 9. In negotiating certain loans, a broker is required to fill in all of the items on a broker's loan statement form. The following item must be inserted. A. What the borrower intends to do with the proceeds of the loan, less expenses. B. A statement of the value of the property supported by a proper appraisal. C. The date on which the borrower acquired the property. D. The amount that will be charged by a qualified agency to render a report on the financial capacity of the borrower. Answer. D. The loan broker law requires, among other things, that the broker's loan statement contain estimated costs including appraisal, escrow, title, notary, recording and credit investigation. Question 10. Which of the following is not a characteristic of an easement? A. It is an interest which can be protected against interference by third persons.
B.
S pause. Second equals 0.80 pause. It is capable of being created by a conveyance. C. It is considered a non-possessory interest. D. It is an interest that can be terminated at will by the possessor of the land. Answer. D. The possessor of the land is the owner of the land. He cannot terminate the easement at will.
Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition. Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition.
Question 1. The right of survivors, in joint tenancy, to acquire the interest of the deceased tenant is called A. The right of conveyance. B. The right of survivorship. C. The right of tenancy extended. D. None of these. Answer. B. In a joint tenancy, if one of the tenants dies, the other inherits the property by means of the right of survivorship. Question 2. Real property is defined as land and appurtenances, including A. Permanent structures. B. Trees. C. Minerals. D. All of these. Answer. D. Real property is defined as land and appurtenances including permanent structures, trees, minerals, and rights of them. Question 3. The amount of the outstanding balance on a mortgage not including any interest or other charges is called A. The principal. B. The original loan amount. C. The primary. D. None of these. Answer. A. The principal balance is the outstanding balance of principal on a mortgage that does not include any interest or other charges. Question 4. A public official that keeps public records of real property transactions in their county is called A. A deed transaction recorder. B. A clerk. C. A recorder. D. A registrar of recording. Answer. C. A recorder is a county public official that records of real property transactions in their area. Also called a county clerk or registrar of deeds. Question 5. A written contract that states the terms and conditions under which a property will be sold, and signed by both the buyer and the seller is known as A. A purchase agreement. B. A purchase note. C. A purchase order. D. A purchase contract. Answer. A. Of the answers given, a purchase agreement is the most correct. A purchase agreement is the written contract that is signed by both the buyer and the seller that states the terms and conditions under which a property will be sold. Question 6. If a loan has a loan-to-value percentage in excess of 80%, what is required? A. Private mortgage insurance. B. A cosigner. C. A down payment in excess of 10%. D. None of these. Answer. A. Private mortgage insurance is insurance required for loans with a loan-to-value percentage in excess of 80%. Question 7. If an owner reduces the principal on a loan before the due date, this is called A. A prepayment. B. A loan reduction strategy. C. A payment in excess. D. None of these. Answer. A. A prepayment is a payment made before the due date and reduces the principal on a loan. Question 8. Another term for pity is A. Principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. B. Principal, insurance, topography, and isolation. C. Parties, interest, taxation, and insurance. D. None of these. Answer. A. PITI stands for principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Question 9. A mortgage payment that is not enough to cover the scheduled monthly payment on a mortgage is called A. A partial payment. B. A percentage payment. C. An interest-only payment. D. None of these. Answer. A partial payment is a payment that is insufficient to cover the scheduled mortgage loan payment and is normally not accepted by the lender. Question 10. If you are given a formal written notice that a default has occurred, this is called A. A notice of default. B. Intent to levy. C. A notice of court action. D. None of these. Answer. A. A notice of default is a formal written notice that informs of a default that has occurred and that legal action may be taken in the near future.
Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition. Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition.
Question 1. Delinquency in real estate terms means A. A failure to pay mortgage payments on time. B. Failure to notify by recording of the deed. C. Failure to provide required disclosures. D. None of these. Answer. A. Failing to pay mortgage payments on time creates delinquency of the loan. Question 2. A credit repository is A. An organization that gathers, records, updates, and stores financial and public records of individuals being considered for credit. B. The institution that issues a FICO score. C. TransUnion. D. None of these. Answer. A credit repository is the institution that gathers, records, updates, and stores financial and public records of individuals being considered for credit. Question 3. Real property where all the owners own the property, common areas, and building together but with the exception of the interior of the unit to which they have title is called A. An apartment complex. B. A condominium. C. A planned development. D. A homeowners association. Answer. B. This is the definition of a condominium. It is a type of ownership. Question 4. An additional individual who is both obligated on the loan and is on the title to the property is called A. An agent party. B. A co-borrower. C. A partner. D. A borrower in trust. Answer. E. A person that is added to the loan becomes obligated for the loan and is also on the title to the property is called a co-borrower. Question 5. The certificate of reasonable value is issued after A. An appraisal of a property being bought with a VA loan. B. The sale of the property being bought with a VA loan. C. An appraisal of a property being bought with a conventional loan. D. The sale of the property being bought with a conventional loan. Answer. A. The certificate of reasonable value is issued by the VA on a property after an appraisal has been issued if the property is being bought with a VA loan. Question 6. If a property is being evaluated for tax purposes in regards to its value, this would be called A. An assessment. B. An appraisal. C. An estimate. D. A county recording. Answer. A. When a property has a value placed on it for purposes of taxation, this is called an assessment. Question 7. The Veterans Administration is an agency of the federal government that A. Guarantees residential mortgages made to eligible veterans of the military services. B. Issues loans directly to veterans. C. Protects veterans against loss in the housing market during a downturn. D. None of these. Answer. A. The Veterans Administration is an agency of the federal government that guarantees a lender against loss on loans made to eligible veterans. This encourages lenders to make more loans to veterans because it is guaranteed against loss. Question 8. Disputes over the ownership of a property can be protected against by purchasing. A. Lender's insurance. B. Title insurance. C. Conveyance insurance. D. Deed insurance. Answer. B. Title insurance protects the lender or the buyer against any loss arising from the dispute over ownership of a property. Question 9. If a lien has a lower priority than the first mortgage or lien, this would be known as A. Subordinate. B. Under. C. Inferior. D. Underprioritized. Answer. A. Subordinate financing is any lien or mortgage that has a lower priority than the first mortgage. This means that any creditor would be paid on the first mortgage or lien before all others. Question 10. When a loan is backed by security or collateral, it is called A. A secured loan. B. A protected loan. C. An insulated loan. D. A collateral loan. Answer. A. A secured loan is any loan that is backed by collateral or security.
Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition. Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition.
Question 1. Common law refers to A. An unwritten body of law based on general custom in England and used in some states to a certain degree. B. A generally accepted practice. C. Common sense. D. None of these. Answer. A. Still used to some extent in some states, common law refers to an unwritten body of law based on general custom. This type of law is based on general custom in England. Question 2. When a real estate transaction occurs, which of these typically earn the highest commissions, barring any other contractual agreements? A. Realtors. B. Lenders. C. Appraisers. D. Lawyers. Answer. A. The largest commissions that are earned in a real estate transaction are those earned by realtors, in general. Question 3. When a veteran is looked at and proven to be eligible for a VA loan, the document that is given to them from the Department of Veterans Affairs is called A. Certificate of Eligibility. B. Certificate of Authentication. C. Certificate of Availability. D. Certificate of Green Light. Answer. A. A certificate of eligibility is the certificate that is issued to a veteran that is determined to be eligible for a VA loan. Question 4. The assessed value is A. The valuation placed on a property by a public tax assessor for taxation purposes. B. The valuation placed on a property by a certified real estate appraiser. C. The valuation placed on a property by a real estate agent after looking at comps. D. None of these. Answer. A. The assessed value is the valuation placed on a property by a public tax assessor to determine the appropriate tax rate for the property. Question 5. When a loan is paid off, it is also known as being A. Amortized. B. Finished. C. Completed. D. Exhausted. Answer A. Amortized is the proper term for a loan that has been paid off. Question 6. When a loan is being paid off, over time. A. The amount of interest increases while the principal balance decreases. B. The amount of interest decreases while the principal balance increases. C. The amount of interest decreases while the principal balance decreases. D. The amount of interest increases while the principal balance increases. Answer C. As a loan is being paid off over time, the amount of interest being charged is recalculated based on the remaining loan balance amount at predetermined intervals. Therefore, over time the amount of interest on a loan amount will decrease as the principal loan balance decreases. Question 7. When a veteran receives a loan, which organization guarantees the loan in the event of a default? A. The VA. B. The FHA. C. The HOA. D. The CIA. Answer A. The Department of Veterans Affairs, VA, is the organization that guarantees VA loans in the event of a default. Question 8. A federal law requiring lenders to fully disclose in writing the terms and conditions of a mortgage, including the annual percentage rate and other charges, is called A. Truth in lending. B. Veritas of oblige. C. Transparency of disclosure. D. None of these. Answer A. The federal law that requires lenders to fully disclose the terms and conditions of a mortgage, including the annual percentage rate and other charges, in writing, is called the Truth in Lending Law. Question 9. A transfer tax is A. State tax payable when title passes from one owner to another. B. A local tax payable when title passes from one owner to another. C. Both a state and local tax that is payable when title passes from one owner to another. D. None of these. Answer C. A transfer tax is both a state and local tax which is payable when title passes from one owner to another. Question 10. The company that specializes in examining and insuring titles to real estate is called A. A title company. B. An insurance company. C. A transaction coordinator. D. None of these. Answer A. A title company is a company that specializes in examining and insuring titles to real estate.
Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition.